I think it's time. I believe it is time, ladies and gentlemen. Guys, after weeks of planning, after getting things in order, after talking about this for months and months on end, trying to see, can we get the NFL Unhinged show back up? Can we pick the right name? We've done it. We are here. Welcome in to 4th and 4, the all-new Unhinged radio version of your weekly NFL pregame entertainment and content. I am Zach Heilman from the Gridiron Gallery podcast, your host. With us almost every week will be Kelsey Coyne and Jim Renier. Kelsey is from the High-Low Sports podcast. Jim is from the J-Dash show and also helps run Unhinged Radio as well. We also will usually be joined by DJ Stewart for these episodes. He is unable to be with us this week, but he will also be here most weeks, and he's given us our picks, so we will have that later on. So welcoming you guys in. First off, how are we doing? It's morning of week 1. Crazy we've gotten to this point, right? It's been a while. It always seems like we say that, but it just feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, I mean, can we believe we're here, actually? Like, really? Like, after, 365 days of COVID issues last year, no fans in the stands. We did this halfway through the season last year. Now we can actually start week 1. I mean, how amazing.
Yes, I love it. I'm happy. Jim, how are you doing, man? Glad to have you in the show as always. You know, I know in the older iteration, it was always bring up anything Patriots and Bucks for you, my friend, or Jacksonville.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and be even keel this time around because we have a full slate of games that are going to be very entertaining to watch. I'm really excited to see if this year's Buffalo's team is the year that actually gets to the Super Bowl, or does Kansas City got what it takes to make it back. So it's going to be an entertaining year, of course. We got the rookie quarterbacks. They're going to be, cemented as rivals because of their draft status. And I'm just really looking forward to it. Everyone's 0-0, besides Tampa Bay and Dallas. But yeah, it's been so far. Football's back. Fans are in the stands. It's going to be very cool. Turn on your TV on CBS or Fox this afternoon, and you hear the traditional theme songs, and that will, send chills in your body because we finally made it to week 1. We got 22 weeks of football ahead of us until we see the Super Bowl in Los Angeles this year, or Vegas.
Yeah,
one of those two.
Los Angeles is where it's going to be at. The NFL, of course, has been trying to get LA to be a thing. So, once you got that beautiful new stadium in place, you got to give them a Super Bowl. So we will get that for Super Bowl 55 coming up this year. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be thrilling. I cannot wait to see it. Of course, we got a whole season ahead of us. It's because it's week 1, of course. So we got plenty to talk about here. How's this is going to work? So we have designed the show to be in 4 quarters, if you will. We even have a halftime show. I'm not joking. You will get to see a halftime performance, if you will, from a special guest, which I'll keep that a secret. Let's save that. He'll be pretty much every week, but I won't spoil any of the details just yet.
The weekend?
The weekend, man. I wish we had the weekend. Could you imagine with the budget? I wish we had the budget for the weekend. By the way, I love the weekend as an artist. Anyway, so off that sidetrack, we'll reveal who it is. And if you've been following us on social, which by the way, pick us up on Twitter there. Look up 4th and 4. Right now, that is where you can follow us. We are trying to build that social gathering. You might have gotten a hint there too. But how this will work? So we'll do the quarters, first and second quarters. The first quarter, we're going to be doing our stories here. Big stories and headlines of the week. Also includes the Thursday night contest that we're catching up on. Second quarter, we'll go in with games of the week. So you'll get kind of our discussion on the top games for week 1. And then later on, we'll talk about our picks overall, and we'll even give you some betting. Kelsey and Jim have some points that they want to touch on with the betting scene, because of course, with betting it growing in popularity, we can't just not cover it on here. You crazy? I mean, seriously, like, I bet I would get some comments after the show, someone going, hey, like, what, I can't make money? Every other show lets me make money. So I'm just saying. We
got to put incentive. If they win money, we get 50% from our bets. So they got to literally, if they take our advice, they got to pay us.
They just got to buy some merch.
Advisory fee.
Hit up our merch store.
Good call, Jim. Jim, good job being the salesman.
Yeah. Yes.
Be the salesman. All right, let's get into the first quarter here. So, big things with stories of the week. I will jump right into the fray, and let's just talk Thursday night football. So we got the big kickoff game of the year, as many of you know, or those that maybe are new to the NFL in some way, shape, or form. Thursday night kickoff for the season is always the Super Bowl champion pitted against a top-tier team in the league. As we can see, Kelsey, you might have guessed, is a Cowboys fan. And for those that watch the Cowboys travel to Tampa Bay at Raymond James Stadium to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady and the revamped and somewhat retooled New England Patriots, if you look at him and Gronk, it was a fun game. I think this is one of the best opening night games I've seen in a while. Extremely entertaining, came down to the wire. Even had a classic was it or wasn't it a penalty call, with the OPI, something that we will touch in, of course. And what, I'm going to let Kelsey, let's hear from the disgruntled Cowboys fan that I think got a little bit of hope, and it was kind of just ripped away at the last second. It looked that way. I felt bad, between you and my buddy Tony. There was some not nice words for the end of that contest and what slipped away.
Let me just go ahead and start this off by saying, who needs diabetes to come kit me? The Cowboys kicking staff is doing a fine job on its own. I can't get over it. I called this 3, 4, 5 weeks ago when DJ and I were talking about it, and I asked a couple of my other buddies, are asking me like, "Oh, what do you think? You guys think you can beat the Bucs?" No, the Cowboys are going to lose on a field goal because that's just how the Cowboys do. And there was no shock in my mind, literally no shock whatsoever when the Cowboys decided, well, it is what it is, and we're just not going to make a field goal. Like, how do you miss a chip shot field goal and an extra point, but you can make a near 60-yarder? Like, how is that? That doesn't make sense at all. Like, what type of kicker are you when that's the case? This has just been an ongoing woe. But you know what? Tom Brady might not be as good as we all expected. If he keeps playing a good half and a bad half, I don't know what to expect from him anymore.
The interceptions are what worry me, I will say. That, besides the Hail Mary, let me put it in perspective. They did the Hail Mary at the end of the half. It's anyone's game. But, there were a few. I still would say, Jesus, the man at 44 can still sling the rock pretty well. And is at least, I would say, if it's not the arm strength fully there, it's just the cleverness in some of the plays and just recognizing the different defensive schemes that led to, making the best of his situation, which, you got plenty of weapons around there. The most disappointing person to me that night was actually Mike Evans. I could not believe how god awful he was in terms of him being kind of that cornerstone of the old guard for the Tampa Bay Bucks. And, last year he put in his staple. We actually got on Chris Godwin a lot more last year, but Godwin looked great. AB looked excellent, actually. And they've been saying all camp he might be a sneaky surprise since he's slimmed down and has gotten faster. Jim, you're more of the resident Tom Brady, at least Tom Brady kind of connoisseur, if you will. But of course, I want to hear. I want to hear both sides of what he's got. It was a really good contest. I'm going to wait here unless you want to introduce the OPI, because that's the thing that seemed to be the most talked about point. Right at the end of the game, Godwin catches the ball. Looks like he shoves off. You have, of course, the rule expert for NBC telling Chris Collinsworth, it's an OPI. Was it an OPI?
Well, for me, it was an offensive pass interference. But quarterbacks like Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, get those calls. They don't get the penalty on them. That's why. But one of the guys that is not getting enough love, a guy who came back from 2 injuries this offseason, showed out. Dak looked freaking awesome.
Yes.
And the Cowboys, from a team that looked like they weren't going to score anything in the preseason, actually look like they're going to be very competitive and could be a threat in the East. We don't know how the other teams are in the East, but they gave Tampa Bay enough. How you can say, they gave Tampa Bay enough problems. But yes, Brady, like Kelsey said, he showed out for a couple of quarters and he had a couple bad possessions and series. But one player that stood out looks like a completely different animal from last season. That's Gronkowski. That's the old Gronk. The old Gronk is back. And for everyone who's been drafting tight ends late, and that person that got Gronkowski in the 14th round, they just got to steal, because it looks like this is going to be the Gronkowski that we've seen in the Patriots for the last 3 years of his tenure there. But you got to give credit to Dak Prescott from what he came back from and that performance he did. It's amazing. But honestly, I think that what stopped Dallas was that they got away from the running game too early. And that made them a little bit one-dimensional in that. And Tampa Bay's defense is legit. They're one of the best defenses in the league. And with Dak passing over almost, I think he over 400, and they still did enough to beat the Cowboys. And of course, when you see that, when Chris Collinsworth said, did they give him enough time? They zoom in on Brady, and Brady had that laser focus. I'm like, yeah, this game's over. There's no way Tampa's losing this. And Brady goes right down the field, the final possession of the game, and wins it. And I'm like, we've seen this how many times in his career? And I know it stings for Kelsey and the Cowboys, but that had to be one of the most entertaining opening night games in quite some time. I think the last one may have been Denver and Indianapolis, when the year after Denver won the Super Bowl. I think that was the last one, when it was Andrew Luck versus Peyton Manning. So I think that was the last one that was really entertaining. So it's been a while, but it was a good opening day. NFL, swung for the fences in this game, and they hit it. And it was good. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, it's everything you live up for a good football game. Back and forth, scoring aplenty. The stars of the show showed up for the most part. Again, I know I pick on Mike Evans, but like I said, I thought it was god awful. But like for the most part, like I said, Godwin, AB, Cooper, and CeeDee Lamb had their moments. If we're talking the version of Mike Evans in terms of the Cowboys comparing to the Bucks, Zeke Elliott didn't show up, but that was also credit to a really good run defense that the Bucks have had since last year. And of course both QBs, Dak Prescott didn't miss a step. He looked really good. I had someone say he looked slow on Twitter, and I just was like, what are you talking about? Like, he even ran a few times. He looked like he was himself. Yeah, he didn't stick his shoulder down on any of those runs, but dude threw for 400 yards on 41 attempts. I mean, I can't complain with that.
No, it was insane. Like, what Dak did coming back is absolutely insane. It shouldn't be understated at all. But I hate to say it, but how many more empty calorie yards is he going to keep throwing for, though? Like, if you keep throwing for 400 plus, but you keep losing, is it ever going to be effective? Is the question. And like, I'm tired of seeing, as a Cowboys fan, my quarterback throw for 400 plus yards on 50 plus attempts, our $90 million running back getting less than 15 touches and averaging less than 50 yards in game. Like, there needs to be a balance here that needs to sustain winning at the same time. Like, it's fantastic to throw for 400 yards, fantastic to lead the league, be on pace for 6,500 before he got injured last year. Like, that's fantastic, but does it result in wins? And if it doesn't result in wins, it's useless. It's like empty calorie at this point in time. And
agreed.
Nobody likes empty calories.
Also, with Dallas, let's go back to just talk about the receivers. Like, Mike Evans almost cost Tampa Bay a Super Bowl last year, or in the NFC Championship game, and that carried over to Week 1. And you look at Dallas, you got to give CeeDee Lamb and Cooper the ball more and often. Like, they were almost no-shows until halfway through the second quarter. And I'm like, you can't do that. Yes, Dak's passing the ball around, but it was like no consistency for Dallas. And you got to give your main weapons the ball.
If CeeDee didn't drop 4 passes, he'd have 4 more catches to his name. So it would look a lot better. And Amari didn't show up until the second half, but that's
I'm just mad because I started both of them on fantasy this week in one of my leagues, and they killed
that one up.
Oh, Jim.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. If it makes you feel better, I had what was the combination here? I had Mike Evans, Blake Jarwin, and I want to say Zeke on the same team that combined for 16 points out of 3 players. So, you want to talk depressing? I'm already at that level with one of my leagues. I'm supposed to lose by about 30 because of that. We'll see how today goes. I hope someone makes a nice few contributions to the Zach Kyleman Foundation of Fantasy Football. I could really use it today in that league. I think that one, I think I named myself Oh yeah, that's right, Jim. It's the disgruntled Jacksonville Sharks mascot. So just to throw in some arena football in there, I'm gonna do it right there.
Nerds.
Nerd. You wouldn't understand, man.
You can't handle the truth, man.
Nah. So, all right. Look, we gotta get more of these stories in though, because there's
Yes,
one
we
that
do.
this is honestly we gotta be. How many teams are going to keep losing guys to injuries, and not just like injuries, but like the same injury? We had the Colts with their foot for 3 weeks. Now you have the Ravens and ACLs. Like, do they just don't want ACLs in Baltimore? Is that all it is? They all want to be bionic men? Like, what do you guys think of this? Like, what causes a team to have so many of these same exact injuries, or is it just a fluke? Does it just naturally happen?
Well, that's the thing. It's I'll put myself in the spotlight here talking here. It's John Harbaugh said it's a fluke accident that both of these things happen. Kind of a similar vein but different football league. The Saskatchewan Roughriders had in one day I think it's like 3 or 4 Achilles tears or injuries at the exact same time. So I don't know if you can maybe accompany it with, say, something along the lines of like I don't know, perhaps it's just bad timing or training is in the case. A lot of people point to the training or exercises sometimes that force these injuries to happen, but I don't know exactly what they were doing at the time that would have forced this. That's the thing. ACL, you got to think about the tear itself. It's all about the movement of the knee. So obviously some cuts in particular had to have made the knee give way. And here we are, but the fact you have 2 in the same practice, that's a little alarming.
Back-to-back plays at that.
Yeah, that's alarming.
Gus Edwards and then Marcus Peters on back-to-back plays. Like, this should never happen. No,
it shouldn't. But here we are. I mean, that's what happened here is you have a snake-bitten team. There's always one that really gets the blunt of it. And of course, the Ravens get it in their most vital area. Well, really 2 of them, honestly, because Marcus Peters is one of the star corners for that team, of course. But the most vital position for the Ravens is that run attack. And you had both those spots, the top 2 rushers that have known that system for so long, get snake bitten with ACL tears. That's harsh. That is a rough one.
Now you get 3 former 1,000-yard rushers to choose from. Who's going to rush for my 100 yards today? It's still kind of sad.
Jim, they signed Le'Veon Bell and Latavius Murray. So they also have Tyson Williams, which has been, in terms of fantasy leagues, he's been kind of the darling for people to pick up lately too. Now credit Murray and Bell still have to be elevated from practice squad, but that's expected to happen any day. Well, really it's happening for today. What do you think? Who gets more of the carries here? 2 of them are more name recognition, but you have one that's in the system already.
I think the one in the system will get the more carries, but eventually they're going to get Bell and Latavius in there because they have more experience and they've played in similar style offenses in the past. But for Baltimore, you got Lamar Jackson, who's half of your running game anyways. But without a sustainable running back right beside you, like a Mark Ingram from like a couple of years ago, teams are just going to like, okay, we know that you're the only running back now. We know that you have an arm. We're going to just, we're going to stack the box, and you're going to have to beat us in the air. And now the receivers of Baltimore have to step up their game for them to be, considered to be a playoff threat this year. And plus, who's not getting the blame in all of this is the people who manage the turf at Baltimore. You're having ACLs blow like crazy. That's turf management. That's not sometimes. It's a fluke accident with ACLs, but we're seeing this every single week now from the same practice facility. I used to work in turf. I've seen ACLs get blown by players on certain spots of the field. The people need to be blamed is the turf people, but I'm not indulging on that. But still, for Baltimore, I think this year was a year for them to surprise. Like even my preseason prediction on my podcast, I thought they were going to do something this year. I don't know because that backfield is in question. You just got Lamar Jackson and next up, and you can't go next up too many times in the NFL before you're getting 4th and 5th string practice players, and that's not good. So for Baltimore, Lamar Jackson's has to step up, and the receivers got to step up now. Can you really trust Bell and Levinus Murray? No, I don't think so. That's the reason why I've been cut from a couple teams now. But then again, different cities, different places may change things. So yeah,
true. You know, we even have to add in other injuries that aren't even the ACLs. I mean, Rashad Bateman, that's supposed to be their star, their upcoming primary receiver coming up, and he's going to be out at least till mid-season. You know, even Marquise Hollywood Brown is dealing with at least nagging injuries. Good God, you want to talk about Lamar Jackson proving people that he needs to take a step? You got to do it with, I won't say bare bones, because, you know, you would think Le'Veon Bell and Latavius Murray, especially Latavius Murray, I think has more upside from what I've seen in recent years. But, you know, besides the running back room, you're just kind of like Mark Andrews or bust again for Lamar Jackson to throw to, because that's generally just the de facto passing option is let's throw to Lamar or to Mark Andrews. Andrews is the guy with the tight end spot, you know. If you cover him up, then what do you do then? You know, hopefully Hollywood Brown's healthy enough where you get Bateman back in time.
Can we also get rid of this whole stigma around Lamar Jackson? Like, let's be real.
Now that's fair too.
The guy is actually a legitimate quarterback, whether people want to give it to him or not. Yeah, he struggles throwing outside the numbers. Every quarterback struggles with something. He just happens to still be beating teams while struggling to throw outside the numbers. Like, I don't know. I feel like you keep I keep hearing the same talk about Lamar, and it's like, hey, this guy sucks. He's not a real quarterback. He's a running back. No, you know what? He is a quarterback leading his team to victory in the best way he knows how with the limited weapons he has. Like, let's be honest. Hollywood Brown is not a number one receiver in the NFL. He is too short and too small, and he doesn't run clean enough routes to be a number one receiver. He is a take the top off. A lot what we saw with Deshaun Jackson in his days in Philly. Deshaun Jackson, in my eyes, has never been a number one. He's always been a threat, but he's never been a number one. Like, he's just a gadget guy who goes over the top. I could even say the same to Tyreek Hill to some degree, except for he's gotten a lot better with his routes. So I'll give him number one in Kansas City. Barely over Travis Kelce, though. Barely. But, hey, look, I mean, Lamar Jackson, he's a guy that once he gets outside the numbers, there's going to be no way to beat him, period. He can run it through you. He can throw it over the top of you. I mean, he flicks his wrist and throws it 60 yards. We haven't seen that since Mike Vick. And everybody had the same complaint about Mike Vick, and we saw what he was able to do once he revamped his career, came back to the NFL, and learned to throw outside the numbers. And he was still deadly. I mean, he was probably deadlier, even more deadly then. So imagine Lamar learns to throw outside the numbers. Everybody's going to go from Lamar being this, oh, he's so terrible, to is Lamar the best quarterback we've seen ever? And so we just need to stop like hating on Lamar for what he is and treat him for what he is and be thankful for what we're watching, because this is so much fun to watch Lamar that a lot of people overlook his actual abilities just for his one fault. And it's kind of disappointing.
Right. I mean, he still is an incredible athletic human being, you know, just the run presence. And I know that won't last forever as you get, you know, the age, of course, you know, and some of the running he does might catch up to him, as we've seen maybe with Cam Newton, but he still has quite the passing prowess. I mean, he's improved every year. I agree with you too. I don't mind him throwing in between the numbers. If I'm being honest, it gets the job done. I think people just, you know, I think one thing with the NFL community we see a lot is you always look for someone that's like, well, that's good, but you know what he doesn't do well? And it's always searching for that one thing he doesn't do well. And then people hammer on it like constantly. Cause it's like, well, if I don't think he's good yet because he can't throw outside the numbers, or like, you know, in terms of like Dak Prescott, it's like, well, I don't completely buy into him because the Cowboys suck or something like that. Or like they'll buy him because it's like, well, they can't win games like in big time situations like Thursday night or something like that too. You know, credit, that's other factors, but stuff comes up like that. And NFL fans just seem to do that at times and lean in towards the negativity pieces way too much. Is it noted that you can do it at times? Sure. Should you do it all the time? Hell no. Don't do it all the time. Don't be that guy. Come on. We're better than that. Yeah. We are better than that, people. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, we're better than that. We're wrapping up the first quarter here with our final bit of story. Jim, what do you got for us?
Well, our final bit for this segment is something that's been all talked about since the draft, the debut of the quarterbacks. Mac Jones in New England, Wilson in the Jets, and of course Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. they all three play three teams that can very well help them, skyrocket their fame, or can put them down to you got a lot of things to work on. You look at these three quarterbacks right now; they were highly talented coming out of college, and some of them were considered probably the next great quarterback, like Trevor Lawrence. Zach Wilson has been, shaking in camp, but once he's in preseason game, he looked like he was he knew the offense. The Jets were moving down the field, and of course, Jones beat out Cam Newton in New England, and basically seems like a quarterback that is the predecessor to Tom Brady. Out of the three games, you got Wilson going to Carolina, and you have Jones playing against Miami and New England, and Lawrence going to Houston. Who do you think was going to have the better of the three debuts? And will we see this as a common, bringing back and forth throughout the couple of years, comparing these guys like, well, this is draft class. Are these guys already chucked into a three-player rival, even though they're not playing each other every year because of their draft status and who they play?
It's interesting. It's an interesting take on it. I do think, to your point of, I'll start with the rivalry part of it, I think you're automatically put into a rivalry with whoever the quarterbacks are around you. I mean, we just look at Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow last year. They're going to be in one. A guy by the name of Felipe Franks, who got drafted this year, he's going to, if he ever makes a point to become a starter in Atlanta, he'll all of a sudden be part of this rivalry with Trevor Lawrence and everybody else. So I think, you're gonna see that rivalry, and just it's natural. Everybody wants to pit everybody against each other, especially quarterbacks. So the hardest part about it, though, is quarterbacks are not necessarily based just off of their own play. They're based off of their team's play. And sometimes the team's not a right fit for them. We've seen it all the time. Countless numbers of Browns quarterbacks, for example. Just pick one and you'll be correct as to proving my point. But now, as far as the three we're talking about here, starting as rookies, I honestly love Trevor Lawrence going to Houston this weekend. I mean, everything happening in Houston, I don't even know what else you could talk about. I don't want to hate on Houston too much right now. I mean, they have a lot of problems right now. They're doing their own thing. And to be honest with you, until the legal process plays out, I don't know what's about to happen in Houston. So with all that said, Jacksonville has a great chance to walk in here and win a game and get Trevor Lawrence off to a great start and prove me wrong about Urban Meyer. But Urban Meyer is still your head coach, and I still don't trust him in the NFL. Those are my takes.
Yeah, I think that at least with Lawrence, that's the one. Tyrod Taylor, say what you will, he's a fine veteran, but Houston's kind of been put together so shoddily because it feels like they want to rebuild. It's a rebuild with the facade of saying we're trying to compete. And I think you're just going to see Lawrence. I think Lawrence and company, it's a better built team. And I think Lawrence proved enough in preseason to where I should expect him to take this week one contest. So I have confidence in him. In terms of say other rookies, for example, if we're talking about Wilson in general, I thought he had a pretty solid preseason. I really liked what he did. And I think that you're going to see, you're at least going to see a pretty competent performance. You're going to see at least maybe some struggles there. But it's the Jets, they have to show that they have also built around well and that their pieces are worth it, and that everything that was advertised in preseason comes out the same way that it did regular season, which is not always a good transition. Credit, they get to play the Panthers, which, we don't know what to fully expect in a regular season scenario with Sam Darnold as of yet. CMC's back, so that's, for them, they have to deal with that on the defensive side of the ball. But, for the Jets and for Wilson's development, not too bad. I think you'll get to see some of the highlights of him, what he showed off. But, like you're saying, Kelsey, Lawrence, I think, is in the best case for week one, just because Houston is they're just such a shamble of parts. I mean, they even just traded Bradley Roby away before week one. So you're just making it that much easier for a rookie that is supposed to succeed to come in and possibly succeed and make highlights week one.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jim, anything to conclude for our quarter?
No, that's it. I think those are going to be the three quarterbacks. I like what Kelsey said. They're going to be paired up for as long as they play in the NFL. And I think, I agree with you guys. I think Lawrence has the best chance this week. But overall, I think it's going to be very interesting to follow these guys in their careers, especially here in season 1. And, it's the thing about the NFL. Each
Nice.
week is a different result.
Yeah. Hey, I love the NFL as much as I've had some college people complain to me, and I complain to them about this too. NFL's parody, it's good stuff. Any week is any given Sunday truly applies in the NFL. Rarely does in college. I'm just going to be saying it right there, and someone can yell at me on Twitter, but that is my stance on college football. I'm just going to put it out there. Anyway, moving on down the line, it's second quarter, ladies and gentlemen. Things are getting a little more dicey, and they're getting a little closer to kickoff. We're already half an hour into this thing. Let's knock out this second quarter, and then we'll get to your halftime entertainment. But we also have some great entertainment and discussion still, too, in our games of the week. So here's the deal. Each of us is going to pick a game of the week. We are going to thoroughly digest this game as much as we can, or at least per person, of course. And we're just going to break this thing down, at least best contests of the week. And we'll just kick it off here since I'm already chatting about it, and I'm going to feel like I'm stealing the obvious one, I think, in this list. I'm just saying, Browns Chiefs, it kind of just pops off the screen. It's the quick popcorn game. You grab your snacks, you grab your drinks. If you're planning for any game during this during week 1 that you're sitting down for, this one, I think, to me, at least with all the built up potential of the Cleveland Browns and what we know the Kansas City Chiefs are and usually will be right now with their current foundation, it's got me ready to sit down and get my popcorn ready, as T.O. used to say. I've got that as my game of the week, and I'm telling you what, I think this will be closer than most people expect, just because of how well the Browns looked last year with Kevin Stefanski and how they molded that offense to fit what the pieces are there. But B, you get healthy returning starters like Odell Beckham Jr., which hopefully better season than he has, or at least a superstar season. He's had 1,000-yard seasons. I'm looking for superstar Odell Beckham, like 1,300 yards and like 7 to 10 touchdown type of OBJ, highlight reel kind of potential, less about talking off during the post-game press conferences. And secondly, they did a great job with drafting and their free agent pickups. I was impressed, which means to me, the Browns are one of the teams that have the most potential in the AFC to possibly, I would say almost possibly, leapfrog the Bills and challenge the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. That's why this is also intriguing, because maybe it's an AFC Championship game matchup that we get week 1. I like it. I really like it.
Ooh. Well, one of the things that you got to look at is that the Kansas City Chiefs basically rebuilt their offensive line. That was the problem for the Chiefs during the Super Bowl last year. Their offensive line couldn't keep Patrick Mahomes off his ass. Excuse my language, but it was true. Buccaneers are just.
Is this for kids though?
But sorry, excuse me, apologize. This is not the old unhinged NFL show. But I agree with the game. I think this is the marquee matchup. Of course, you're going to have Jim Nantz and Tony Romo. Tony Romo predicting every play as usual. Good Lord, NFL football's back. But yeah, I like this game. It's going to be a very competitive game, but I'm going to look at how the Cleveland's defensive line and the newly built Kansas City offensive line, lives up. The trenches are always interesting. You can have all the offensive weapons you have on the field, and it's amazing that football comes down to just a 2-yard game. It's whoever's that line of scrimmage. Who wins the line of scrimmage is going to win this game. But you saying this is a preview for the AFC Championship game? Man, that's a bold prediction. Let's see, that's a bold strategy there too, Zach. But yeah, Cleveland off season, they did everything to revamp them stuff or get them better. The question is, can Cleveland live up to success? This organization has been a losing organization for many years, and we don't. You live closer to Cleveland than me. Well, actually, now Kelsey lives in Cleveland now.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But let's say to the Cleveland Browns fans, be humble, because I've seen organizations have great winning seasons one year and the next year only win 4 games, and I'm talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and yeah, I like the game. I like the pick.
No, I love it. Look, the Browns, they also get healthy too. on top of everything else you added, Zach. Like they get Grant Delpit back. We haven't seen him play since he was at LSU. But still, the dude is 6'2" and a monster of a train coming downhill to hurt anything that tries to hit him. And he's going to be also protecting the top against Tyreek Hill. There's no way Tyreek Hill beats him in a jump ball. That's guaranteed. But maybe in a foot race. But you have Denzel Ward out there. The defense is so fantastic for the Browns. And they added Jadeveon Clowney. And you can't forget Jadeveon Clowney, not the pass rusher Jadeveon Clowney, because he's not a pass rusher, people. Please get that out of your mind. He is a run-stopping defensive end, and he is fantastic at it. And people just forget about it. There's going to be zero chance that there's a run game coming from the Chiefs. It is going to have to be huck it and chuck it and hope that you get Tyreek Hill on a busted play occasionally, or Travis Kelce just goes all Zeus. They give him the title in Madden, and he goes Zeus on everybody and runs through them, because this defense for the Browns is fantastic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And as long as superhero Baker does not come to play, and it's just game management Baker, which is the best Baker out there, this Browns team is a threat to anybody. Because if he just picks and makes his plays within the offense, it's unstoppable, because this team is so run heavy. You talk about Nick Chubb being a bowling ball. Kareem Hunt has a great backup, gives you that extra kick you need to get a little extra yardage out there, other than just Nick Chubb doing it. But look, I think to your point, this is definitely a game that could have some AFC Championship implications without a doubt.
Yeah, it feels like an early season preview for at least a playoff contest. Maybe another AFC divisional, like the one we saw last year with Chad Henne of all people, delivering that crucial fourth down conversion in that contest. But I think this year you have a Cleveland Browns team that, again, I thought they drafted one of the best drafts this year in terms of filling the need. So they already, to me, they look on paper one of the most balanced teams in the NFL on both sides of the ball. And, it's retooling, because everyone, of course, the Chiefs have gone to the Super Bowl 2 straight years in the AFC. And there's a target on their back, I think, even more so than ever now, to say, hey, our time is now. If we're going to have any way to get to the Super Bowl and probably face like either Tom Brady or say Aaron Rodgers and company, or who else is, of course, the NFC that's Super Bowl contenders. I'll even throw in, say, like a Los Angeles or Seattle in there in the mix. You got to take down Patty Mahomes, who has come out and kind of put his foot down and saying, in terms of pure talent and skill as a QB, I'm the best in the league, and I have one of, if not the best receiving corps in the league. You have to outsprint me and also have to play at least better defense than our side of the ball and hold up to the pressure that we give them every game. So, Browns loaded up, Bills loaded up too. That's why I got to put it. Here's how we'll do this, by the way, folks. We're going to save our picks for the pick'em more as a preview here, but because the pick'em's really a rapid fire of all the games. But so we're going to, of course, let you know what these games are. We won't pick yet. Maybe I hint at them, of course, or we hint at our choices, but I will not spoil that fun yet until the third quarter, of course. Kelsey, you have your game of the week, of course, here. And I don't mind if, I know DJ generally would do this too with our show, but since it's first week, he's not here, of course, for other issues. If you want to give his game in a quick synopsis, feel free to do so. Otherwise, we want to hear your game of the week, good sir.
Well, I'm just going to take his game of the week and make it my game of the week, because
good. That's nice.
Too easy of a pick. It's the Colts Seahawks game. You always have questions about the Seahawks team, and this Colts team now with Carson Wentz at the helm. We saw what they could do with a statue that is Phillip Rivers. Really just a couple bad possessions down at the end of the game away from beating the Bills in the playoffs. Now you add Carson Wentz, and can he be Carson Wentz the last time he was with Frank Reich, which was a fantastic Carson Wentz, MVP caliber Carson Wentz before injury? Or will he be Carson Wentz, the guy who led the league in turnover-worthy plays last year? That's going to be the question. And then you have the Seahawks on the other end. DK Metcalf is a freak athlete, but was there too much off-the-field stuff this offseason, to distract him from getting even better at his route running, which is the biggest hole in his arsenal? He does not run routes well. He can run a 9 and he can run an out, and he can barely run a slant well. If it wasn't for the fact he's a big body guy, he wouldn't run slants well. He needs to take a page from the Julio Jones playbook and learned how to run slants. And then you talk about also the health on the Seahawks defense, getting healthy. Health for the Colts. I mean, you got Quentin Nelson coming back, Carson Wentz coming back from the foot injuries as well. Ryan Kelly coming back as well. There's so many injuries that have happened this offseason for the Colts. So can they all be healthy coming into game one? And can this team potentially show that they are AFC South favorites? And then for the Seahawks, can you show your NFC West favorites? Because there's not a single one in that Western Conference that I can really look at right now and see as a favorite.
Yeah, that is those are good points. Here's the thing with the Colts that I'm focusing in on this week. I know that there was hints that you would see Quentin Nelson and Wentz come back from those freak foot injuries, but I almost am kind of wincing a little because I'm not to make that a pun, by the way, that just came out that way. So yeah, congrats. I put the pun in for the week. But I almost feel like this almost sounds like a rushing back type of scenario. I know that there's been some talks from local reporters here in Indy that I guess you have Chris Ballard sending tweets out or texts out to captains saying that this is an important game for them because they haven't really been winning. Week one of the season for the Colts has been kind of a curse for the last few years. So they really want to hit the ground running. I almost feel, to me, that just makes me worry that there's throwing them back in the fray because they don't want to lose week one.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
I mean, don't get me wrong. No loss is good, but considering that these were almost like 5 to 6 week injuries and here they are.
Yeah, it's amazing how
miracle
when they both went down. They go, oh, they'll be out for eight weeks, and then 2 weeks later, Wentz is on the practice field, and you're like, what the, where did they get this, massive, healing power over in 2 week period? But one question about this game is, Seattle, can they be what we think they're going to be this year? Are they a pivotal contender in the West? Are they a playoff team? That's been them for the last couple of. Can they continue it for Indianapolis? A lot of Colts fans like, oh, thank God we don't play Jacksonville week one for the first time. It seems like in a decade, because that's like the only team they lose to in week one is Jacksonville. But this is going to be an intriguing game in my opinion, and it's like what Kelsey mentioned about Wentz. Is it the Wentz from Philadelphia before he blew his ACL in the NFC wildcard game? I think it was a couple of years ago. But no, it wasn't wildcard. It was right before the playoffs. But
yes,
that's going to be an intriguing thing. These two teams are like stuck in the muck. Honestly, they have the potential to win both divisions, and they have the rosters that they can get hot, get in the playoffs, and make deep runs. Both teams are built like that. The question is can you sustain it? But there's more questions on the Colts side because Wentz, the injuries, the week one, like slugfest that is the Colts over the last couple of years. But honestly, if you're Seattle, you can't afford losing games that you're supposed to win, especially in that competitive division out west this year. So I think it's gonna be an entertaining game, honestly, and I can't wait to watch NFL Red Zone. It's gonna be exciting today.
I'm looking forward to that contest, but I want to see if Seattle looks the part that they've been since the Pete Carroll era, which is we're one of the best in the NFC, but we also feel like we could fall apart at any given second. Or really, will they repeat last year where it's let Russ cook for at least 8 games until the league catches on and then they slow him down again? Because I feel like they didn't do much this offseason to really give me confidence that there's going to be any movement towards progress to another Super Bowl berth again. They feel like they kind of just stayed the same and dealt with Russell Wilson trying to, assert his authority in getting play calling duties or insight into how coaching is done. It really, Jim, you're saying like stuck in the mud type of thing. That Seattle, to me, embodies that. Not to mention, not only just trying to make progress and not feel like you're just a weak playoff team or a weak division winner. Because at 12-4 last year, I felt it was kind of a weak divisional winner, and it showed when they of course when they lost to Los Angeles.
The problem is that Arizona and the Rams did stuff this offseason. They're getting better.
Correct.
And the Seattle just like, oh, we're going to just be set on our morals. You got to do something to stay competitive in that West. The Niners are, right now, the worst team in that division. but they have a bright future ahead of them. And they're coming off of a season where half their team was gone because of injuries or COVID. So for Seattle, they just like, we're going to do the same old, same old. Sometimes that doesn't work, and that's playing fire with fire, but that's Carroll for you. He's been like that in Seattle for the last 5 seasons. So like the game plan, we're going to stick with it no matter what. They're still kicking themselves in the foot for not running the ball in the Super Bowl. And ever since then, the team has gone downhill.
You know, I mean, in morale, it's gone downhill. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah.
You might say they might have 2-stepped them way backwards.
Yeah. But let me get to my game of the week, and this is going to be the side of two tails between two organizations: Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. Are the Bills going to make that next step to be a Super Bowl team this year? Not just an AFC Championship team, but a Super Bowl team. They have the quarterback, they have a defense, and they have some solid receivers. Then you look on the other side of the field, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Big Ben, is this the one last hurrah? Is Juju enough to get them over the hump? They did make some good free agent acquisitions. Watt got a nice extension. But the Steelers and the Bills, if this was like 2005, it was Steelers all day. But Big Ben's a lot older, and he's coming down to the end. And Josh Allen is showing that he can be in the conversation with Patrick Mahomes, can be in the conversation with Aaron Rodgers of being one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. For me, I look at this and say, can Buffalo, make that step forward? Clearly win the division. Don't make it even a question that you're going to lose this division. Make it a outright beatdown of AFC East, and show Pittsburgh like, hey, we're not the Bills from 4 years ago. We're not the Bills from 3 years ago. We're the new team on the block, and I'm looking for in this game if the Bills can finally stop jumping into freaking tables like a WWE pay-per-view event and actually, concentrate on the main prize is like, can we get to LA to play for a Super Bowl? So it's going to be interesting. Two teams going two separate ways. Steelers, one last hurrah against a Buffalo Bills team I think the national media really loves to get to Los Angeles this year.
Well, I mean,
first of all, don't take away jumping through tables. That needs to stay. I still want to see jumping through tables. I still want to see Zach jump through a table.
That is still a bucket list item for me. It is going to happen. I will go there. And now that they're trying to get a new stadium in Buffalo, I almost have to get there faster before they tear the old place down. So I need to hurry.
Yeah, no. So we that's obviously never going away, Jim. Don't ever wish that bad luck on anybody. But to your point, like this Steelers team, what are they doing offensively? Like for their offensive line, what are you going to do? Because right now you're piecing together an offensive line that's not great. It's really there's nothing that I haven't seen a worse offensive line in Pittsburgh probably in the entirety of their team. I really like in the entire organization. I don't think there's been a worse offensive line out there. Big Ben had to set a record for time to release last year, and he's going to have to do it again. And unfortunately, you draft a running back in Najee Harris, who's a fantastic running back, but you're not going to get him as a running back. You're going to use him as a receiver the whole time because you're going to be dumping it off to him while you're trying to run for your life. Or in Big Ben's case, he's going to be standing for his life, hoping he doesn't get hit in 2 seconds, and just sort of flicking it over there to where Najee's supposed to be. It's the Buffalo Bills are set to win this game pretty easily in my eyes. You added more to this pass rush, and you made it even deadlier, and your defense is still fantastic. I mean, all the pieces on their defense are still there. Your offense is getting better. Cole Beasley, the only if he catches COVID or not, that might be the only thing that can stop him from getting a first down one-on-one. And the dude just, for some reason, is able to break anybody's one-on-one coverage and get a first down still in his career. It doesn't make sense. Stephon Diggs is still fantastic. And then, by the way, let's just add Emmanuel Sanders, who's another guy who runs such clean, crisp routes that just gets open. Josh Allen's set for big-time performances this season, and don't be surprised if he pulls one out right here against the Steelers in week 1 because it is set up for him to just blow the house off of the Steelers.
Yeah. Look, I think this is kind of a prove-it game for the Steelers and their fan base to say, like, hey, are you really – it feels like in the offseason you took a step back, like mightily. Are you going to do so even more? How badly do you think this will go, or how good this will be for you is determined on, like you're saying, the offensive line structure alone. Big Ben's going to have to be rushing it, but also I feel especially bad for Najee Harris. He's coming in here. I think I've been looking forward to his debut in a week 1 scenario or regular season scenario since he's been drafted to the Steelers, just because I've been saying that he looks like Derrick Henry that can actually catch a pass, which to me, if that hype is lived up to, that'd be pretty amazing to see in display. That muscular presence that, is much more acquainted to actually going out of the backfield and can have better hands. Not saying Derrick Henry can't catch screens or anything, because he does, but Najee at least showed at Alabama and has proven that he definitely is much more of a has much better pass catching capability than Derrick Henry has ever had in his career. And that scares me as a general fan, just saying, wow, look at that monster running around that way. But they built him different at Alabama.
Look, I said it before. He is the best running back to ever come out of Alabama, the most complete running back to ever come out of Alabama. Period.
Yeah. That's a good synopsis of it, though. That's what he gives off. And I want to see that on full display, except Pittsburgh, you got to give him the tools. And it does not feel like they help that case for either one of those pieces behind the line at all. Not to mention, you got to deliver to, the TikTok star or the one that likes to smack talk off season wise from Canada. And if you guys don't know who I'm talking about Juju and Claypool, but you got to get those guys open, and got to have a chance to deliver the ball to them. I'm worried Big Ben's going to get hit a lot more, which is not good for a guy that's getting older in the NFL and has been
Dwayne Haskins.
Dwayne Haskins time. Oh man, you imagine him getting back on. I'm just imagining he wins a game by 1, but isn't out there to help with the celebration because he's getting a selfie from the stands again, like he was in Washington. Yeah, made it back on the field. I told you I'd get on. Ron Rivera doesn't know what he's talking about.
That's depressing.
Let's look at Buffalo, though. We talked so much about Tampa Bay and how well they brought back almost actually every piece of their original roster from last year that won a Super Bowl, which is almost never heard of in the Super Bowl era. You know who did it in the AFC? The Buffalo Bills. They brought back pretty much everybody, and they were right on the doorstep, and they got a draft to help build themselves up. Talk about a team that has weight on their shoulders again. First, everyone wants to see Josh Allen take another step, not like he did last year, but now they want him to take another step in the right direction, which preseason
win an MVP.
Yeah, win an MVP, which be another thing, But of course, everyone wants to see the Bills. I think the Bills are kind of like the darlings right now in the NFL. Like a lot of people are just like, they've much like the Browns were. Like you're seeing two teams right now with the Bills and Browns that both are like, wow, you guys have had your asses kicked like for years, and now you got teams that can kick other people's asses and say, how does it feel? And you see them just kicking them on the ground or something like that. That's just what it feels like, like say to Pittsburgh fans getting the Browns beating them, of course, in the playoffs, or you get like the Bills who are dominating the East and have been basically a punching bag for the Patriots. And now they can just go, how's it feel, Bill? How's it feel? What you got, man? Got Tom to back you up anymore. But it's nice to see. And the Bills have retained everyone. So
you're not wrong. Let's just put it that way.
I plead the fifth.
This is a good start for Allen, I think, to kind of show like, hey, I'm still just as good as last year, if not better. I don't think anyone's asking beyond like, he can spread the ball out. But I think some people, again, we're going back to the pick negative choices type of thing. Some people key in where it's like, well, he keys on Stephon Diggs too much. I'm like, okay, it works. I guess we can see if he distributes the ball better this year. I don't know what to tell you. Like he impressed me last year, but it's always another step to the negativity. Always another piece to add on to it as well. So I am excited for that contest, and I'm excited to see the Buffalo Bills in action because I think, I made a bold statement that maybe the Browns are the AFC title contender again, but I mean, the Bills obviously will have their say. I think either way.
You shut your pick stealing mouth up. No.
Look,
No,
all I was going to put in there, this is all I was going to do, is that one of these divisional games is going to have a combination of two of those three, and it's going to change who does what. So I think you're going to see a divisional that's either Buffalo, Kansas City, Buffalo, Cleveland, or Cleveland, Kansas City. It's bound to happen. It's going to happen, and it's going to decide if we get a change in the guard in the AFC Championship this year, or if we get the same thing. I'm just
give me
telling
my
you.
Thanos glove so I can go. This is inevitable. That's all I'm missing.
So close to it, folks. It is about halftime, which means I can reveal to you folks out there who is our other contributor to Fourth and Four. Again, if you've been following us on social, which by the way, follow us at Fourth and Four, which is fourth spelled out FOURTH, and then the number 4. That is on Twitter. We'll be possibly putting in more socials, but otherwise follow us on Unhinged Radio on Facebook, and then subscribe to us here on YouTube if you're watching this live right now, or if you're watching the replay of this after the fact. I mean, hey, you could have seen how funny it was if we screwed up, and you can laugh at us for doing that. But with that being at Colorcast as well. I am sorry, Colorcast. Please don't hate me. Evan, please don't dislike me for missing that. Anyway, our next contributor here is our halftime show. You know, Fox has got one. CBS has got one. We got to have one ourselves too, guys. We can't be left out of this bunch.
Let's be honest. We probably have the best one of the group.
I think we do. You know, I think this guy trumps Rob Riggle. Not going to lie.
Definitely trumps Frank Caliendo.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. He's a good one. You're gonna like it, folks. Without further ado, let's let Hector Flores jump in on his thoughts on Week 1 and some games you might want to watch.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, it's Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast. Hey, the guys at 4 from 4 want me to partake on their show, so here we are. We're gonna talk about the National Football League. I don't know where that's from. Maybe Belgium somewhere.
It's American football.
What?
You're talking about the National Football League.
Oh, American football?
Why are you wearing a Houston Dynamo soccer jersey?
Why am I wearing a soccer jersey? Be right back. Okay, as I was saying,
no,
wait, what?
No,
oh,
anything
okay,
but
yeah,
that
terrible
one.
idea,
No,
terrible
take
idea.
Take that one off.
My
Wrong.
bad. Okay, we're good. USA football safe. All right, perfect. All right, so that is what we got to talk about, man. NFL season is back. It is great. Obviously, the thrills, the excitement, the anxiousness. So a little bit of pessimism, a little bit of optimism. More pessimism if you're a Texans fan. More optimism if you're basically any other team. But it is back, and I can't wait to watch it. Is there anything I want to talk about specifically headline-wise? No, because you know what? The season just started. Let's let this season progress before we start giving some talking points of the season or some little storylines. But just this whole storyline is just football is back, and let's just enjoy it. I can't wait. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, the rookie quarterbacks. Some of these guys, when are we going to see them? Obviously, we're going to see some guys right away from game 1. But also, along with rookie quarterbacks, we also have new head coaches, new different situations. You know, what are we going to see from these new teams? Obviously, everyone's interested in what Dan Terra and Detroit's going to do. But it's Detroit. But everything is just exciting. You got quarterbacks going to different places. You got Sam Darnold in Carolina, Teddy Bridgewater in Denver. So there's so much just exciting. I mean, Tyrod Taylor and the Texans, but let's not talk about the Texans. So there's a lot of excitement going on with this NFL season, and I just can't wait for it to start and see how this season progresses and to the point where we have a Super Bowl champion in February, because it's just going to be all exciting, man. I can't wait for this season to kick off. So how I'm going to do this, I'm going to always have a game to watch. I'm going to give you guys my lock for which who knows if it's going to work out, and an upset that I think is going to happen depending on the spread. So I'm going to start things off, obviously, for a game to watch. This isn't like the sexiest of games, but I like what comes with it, the story behind it. So that's why I'm picking this one. And my game to watch is the New York Jets versus the Carolina Panthers. I think it's an interesting matchup because of the fact that you have Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, obviously, this is the guy that the New York Jets are going all in for. He looks like he's first in the depth chart, so I'm assuming we're going to see this guy play. So let's see what the Zach Wilson era in the Jets will look like. Along with Zach Wilson, you have Robert Saleh making his first time head coaching experience. How is he going to turn this Jets team around? Is the Jets ready? Obviously, there's some questions behind it, but is Robert Saleh the guy to lead this Jets team to hopefully some more promising years? And then, of course, we got to state the fact that, Sam Darnold is in Carolina. So is this a possible Sam Darnold revenge game? So, it's up in the air. We could see it. There's a reason why Carolina went after and got him. So is this the game where we're going to see Sam Darnold look like the Sam Darnold from USC? As a USC fan, I sure hope so. Because that's probably also the reason why I picked this game, is because I do like Sam Darnold. But that's my game to watch. My lock for this week is San Francisco beating Detroit. I know I said my things about Dan Campbell, but San Francisco still has that defense. Say what you want at the quarterback position, but as long as that defense can put them in good situations, San Francisco has a good chance of winning this game. So I put them as my lock, mainly because of that defense. For my upset, technically this was an upset. I don't deem it an upset, but I mean, they got them ahead in the spread, and that is Philadelphia beating the Atlanta Falcons. I know that some people, there's so many question marks behind both these teams, but I like Philadelphia a little bit more than Atlanta. Atlanta is a weird team. Sometimes I pick them to win, they lose. Sometimes I pick them to lose, they win. So right now, as I'm saying this, I'm kind of worried that this is going to bite me in the ass, but who cares? My upset is Philadelphia beating the Atlanta Falcons. So there's my thoughts. Here's my segment. Back to you guys in 4 for 4.
Oh man,
That was awesome.
So yeah, Hector Flores is going to be our halftime show for the season. Which, hey, Hector, if you're watching now, if you're listening in, thank you very much. That was an awesome piece. The Deshaun Watson portion is, yeah, that was good. Interesting. So folks, we are currently having someone that looks like dropped out. I don't know if Kelsey can hear me. So I'm going to, there we go. See, it was kind of weird. I was ready to lead the show myself. Like, let's do this solo. All right.
No, my apologies. So problem with moving to a new place, my hotspot is acting up. So you guys may or may not see me all the way through.
Okay. Hey, I'm just glad that I was ready to go. I was ready to be like the solo guy here. Let's guide this ship to the end. But it is what it is. I knew you guys were going to be back. I knew you wouldn't leave me. They always come back.
We're here for the long haul. Whether or not you can see us or not is a different story.
We're excited. We're excited about the National.
The National League. Hector, again, Hector, if you're watching or if you're listening to the past or here, thank you. That was really good. And he's going to be doing halftime shows all season long for us. So you'll get a halftime piece at the hour mark every show from us moving here on. And I'm excited to give us a little bit of flair. He has more of a soccer background, but he's still a football fan in American football. Got to specify. But he's still American football.
Right. He was a football fan.
I know. I've had that conversation with him too. But he's cool with it. He's cool with it. So here, let's analyze a few of his pieces here before we just rapid fire all our picks. So as we heard, his game of the week is Carolina and New York, which I get the dynamic, not bad. Storyline that's going to be coming up. And then he had a lock as San Francisco, and his upset pick, according to Vegas, which I agree. I don't like that Vegas thinks this is an upset pick, but he put Philadelphia over Atlanta, which I'm looking at this, I'm going, I don't really see that as an upset pick.
This should be an even.
Yeah. It's kind of, again, I blame Vegas on that, not him, but he's allowed to choose that. So, completely understand. But yeah, I do like the dynamic of, you got Darnold visiting the Jets. He's going to be playing his old team. Zach Wilson's first debut. Again, good dynamic for the broadcasters out there. They're probably going to have a fun time chatting that one up all day. and getting to beat that one to death in terms of how many times you hear Darnold or Wilson's name brought up in that telecast. Anyway, we got picks coming up. It is the third quarter, ladies and gentlemen, which means it's rapid fire pick time. So we would have all four of us, again, DJ not being here, he would be the fourth, but we're going to have Kelsey read off DJ's pick for us in that case. And I will also read off Hector's to lead off with these picks. But we're going to go down the TV broadcast. We're going to give you rapid fires of our pick 'em. And every week we will give you updated records and we will have a champion at the end of the year. We did this with NFL Unhinged. We're going to do it again here with 4th and 4. You will get a champion and we'll have adjusted points for playoffs and all that jazz later down the line. We'll announce that to be determined. Meanwhile, we got week 1, and I know I'm sounding like I'm speeding my voice up, but it's because I know that we're going to be talking through these. It's going to take some time, and we have 1 quarter to do this. So,
it's rapid fire. Let's go.
All right, let's do this. Let's do it. Let's go. All right.
Jim, no sentences.
Here's how I'm going to do this since we're rapid fire. I myself will do Hector's, followed by me. Kelsey will then do we'll do Kelsey's and DJ's, and then Jim will finish up, and we'll go around the horn like that for each one of these. That is the pattern. So here's how we'll do it. First off, leading off, we got the Indianapolis Colts visiting the Seattle Seahawks. As we mentioned, that's one of our games of the week there, thanks to Kelsey via DJ. For Hector picked the Seahawks for this contest. And honestly, I agree with him. I'm going with the Seahawks as well. Look, I know that you got Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson coming back, but as I mentioned in the Game of the Week segment, I don't like that it feels kind of a rush back from injury type of scenario. That worries me. And also, I think Seattle still pretty talented. They're really good first half of the year in the Pete Carroll era. Give me the Seahawks here. Kelsey, you and DJ, and from what I can tell, similar picks.
Yeah, similar picks on this one. 2 different reasons, though. DJ has them going for the running game, so he's picking the Colts. For me, I have the defense stepping up for the Colts, and Kenny Moore, best slot corner in the game, will have at least 1 interception tonight.
Ooh, all right. I see what you're saying. Good choices. Jim, you'll be the one breaking the tie. Who are you taking?
For multiple years so far, the Seattle Seahawks always jump out to the season fast and on fire. They do that this time around too. Seattle wins.
Ooh, all right. Simple to the point. I actually was waiting for you to do I'm not giving a hint because you'll do it at some point during this game or this rapid fire. I just know you will. Viewers and listeners, you'll know what I'm talking about later on. Meanwhile, second game, Houston visiting the Jacksonville Jaguars. Houston, as we know, is in shambles right now in terms of what is a quote-unquote rebuild. There's no Deshaun Watson. He is definitely going to be sitting. That was confirmed by the organization. Jacksonville, it's Trevor Lawrence and company. Like, this is a Trevor Lawrence debut game. What are you going to do? Hector's got the Houston Texans, so he's going for the homer team here. I do not agree with that. We're not going to think alike here. Trevor Lawrence, it's a home game. It's his first contest out. I think he showed enough in preseason, and I have confidence that they can dismantle the Texans for whatever it's worth of that roster. I'm just being honest. It's not pretty. Kelsey, what are you and DJ looking at? It looks like it's similar again.
Same thing right here. The Jaguars for DJ, myself as well, choosing the Jaguars. And I will also add a caveat. This is the best Urban Meyer's team will look all season, play calling wise.
Okay. Yeah, that's the other element too. Urban Meyer's first full year as an NFL coach. Remember, this is a guy that had issues with stress in college. I am curious how this works in the NFL. That's his statements he's said in the past. I'm just bringing it out there. Jim, here you go. What we got here. You are picking. It's at home. It's in your own city.
No, it's in Houston, week 1.
I am reading these wrong on the card.
Yes. Yeah. It's in Houston, week 1, but it's the 2 dumpster fires. Dumpster fire from last season, which is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The dumpster fire for this season, which is the Houston Texans. Which dumpster fire gets put out first? It's gonna be Jaguars. Jaguars win.
Nice. And folks, just to re-specify, yes, I was reading this on the card. I only blame myself. I do not blame the layout of this pick'em whatsoever. I have been reading this wrong. So it is Seattle going to Indianapolis. That is on me. It is Jacksonville going to Houston. Please I'm just letting you know so that I don't seem like a schmuck. Next game up is what Hector picked as his underdog or as the upset pick of the week. That is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles visiting the Atlanta Falcons. And I know I got that one right this time. For the pick itself, as we know, Hector picked the Philadelphia Eagles here. Eagles are obviously dealing with now it's Jalen Hurts' game out there in Philadelphia. As for Atlanta, new coach, new offensive coordinator, new philosophy as a whole for a team that might be in a rebuilding phase and is trying to transition to a new era in their team. As for Hector's pick, I am also the same. We both picked the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm with, like we're saying earlier, this doesn't feel like an underdog type of game or one that you should be feeling like the Eagles are the upset pick. I think the Eagles should be taking this in my eyes. However, not everyone thinks the same way.
You always set us up for failure in these situations. Now, let me remind you, DP did have the best pick'em last season in the regular season, so maybe that I'm copying some of his picks to some degree, and that's kind of the case in some ways. But you know what? This one, I understand it. We go, both DJ and I are going Falcons. I'm going Falcons for the reason that I love Arthur Smith, and he got one of the best weapons in a tight end in Kyle Pitts in the draft. And I still think there's some little chutzpah left in Matt Ryan's tank. And, you might be surprised. And Wayne Gallman Jr., by the way, will likely be the starting running back and carry a lot of the load for the Atlanta Falcons. And we saw what he could do last year for the Giants when Saquon was out. So could provide some option there.
That is fair. That is true. Jim, it would be, the deciding factor on who's leaning what in terms of favorite by the 4th and 4 crew. So who you got?
So Vegas is saying that Philadelphia is the upset pick of this game. How can it be an upset pick when both teams are basically even and they're just playing in Atlanta, but they're an even two teams. Both teams have no aspirations of making the playoffs this year, but Vegas does have a thing about interesting choke jobs that happen in Atlanta and the team that is the Atlanta Falcons, but not this time. Falcons win home opener.
Okay. Well, that's fine. You know what? I'm okay with also picking the upset game of the week, I guess. So, you know what? I'll take that as it will. I'm fine with that. I like a good underdog story, even though this is probably a bland one. Anyway, moving on to rapid fire. Next up on the docket, the Washington football team, which soon will have a name, mind you, as they are deciding between the finalists of. Who knows? Okay, like they're selling merchandise for the team. People are buying it. Like maybe the Schneiders are that much of schmucks and they just stick with. Who knows? Okay, they're taking on the chat. They are going to be hosting the LA Chargers. I almost did it again because of the schedule. I swear. Anywho, Hector has it here as the Chargers, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am also taking the Chargers. Again, talk about teams that had a great offseason and drafted well and picked up free agents well. The Chargers, with Brandon Staley, of course, is the new coach, defensive-minded, mind you. I like it. I really like how this roster's built. I know Washington, defensively is they're very steadfast with that. However, Fitzmagic, okay. I mean, I don't see enough there, is what I'm saying. I will be sticking with LA, and they'll take a win out there in the DC metropolitan area. Kelsey, you're up with DJ. Looks like you might be split. Who's taking what?
But finally, I finally didn't copy his pick this time because I just think he's dead wrong. He picked Washington football team for all the valid reasons of Chase Young, that defensive line being outstanding, all this, that, and the other. Terry McLaurin being a fantastic piece. Fitzmagic always being good in the first 3 games of the season. But that's fine. That's all well and good. DJ picks Washington for those reasons. I picked the Chargers though because, as you said, that draft, not a better draft pick in the draft other than Rashawn Slater. I'm sorry, they absolutely got a steal with him, dropping down into their lap. And then on top of that, well, as you mentioned, the new head coach, defensive-minded. Finally, defensive-minded head coaches with young quarterbacks always have a knack of success. So, with that said, give me the Chargers.
All right. Jim, who are you looking at here? Chargers going to the D.C. metro area to take on Fitzmagic, Chase Young, and the like.
I can't trust a team that has 26 open trademarks for their team's names and can't decide on what team they want to be called. So give me the San Diego Superchargers that now play in LA.
I wish they were in San Diego still. Just my honest opinion.
Next thing we know, they're going to be the San Diego Chargers of LA, like the Anaheim Angels of LA.
That sounded horrible. Or you can make them. Here's this: the San Jose Chargers.
No, that won't work.
The Bay Area Chargers.
The Malibu Chargers is what
The
they are.
Malibu Chargers. You know, with Justin Herbert's look, I think that fits perfectly into the mystique of the Chargers.
There's a Bosa brother that would have something to say about looking like a Malibu boy.
True. That's true. So. I get what you're saying. I see. Moving on to the rapid fire. Buffalo is going to be hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was one of our games of the week here, thanks to Jim as well. As we're saying, Pittsburgh revamping or retooling more like their offensive line. Buffalo pretty much brought the same roster back. They're looking just as good as ever from what we've seen preseason wise. Hector and I both are taking the Buffalo Bills because A, they circle the wagon because nobody circles the wagon like the Buffalo Bills, but B, come on, it's the same roster. These guys looked amazing. They were AFC championship runner-ups. This is a year they're going to be a presence once again. And Pittsburgh's looking kind of, I don't like how they look. Just being frank, I don't like how they look. Kelsey and DJ with their picks. Kelsey, looks like we're back onto the great minds think alike mentality.
Yeah, this I feel like if you pick the Steelers in this one, you're just going for something crazy. You must be making a parlay and you want to hit a huge parlay. Here, that's the only reason I can think you're.
Whoa, slow down. We ain't to the fourth quarter yet, man.
Look, man, I'm just like, there is no reason whatsoever to hit to pick Steelers here. Not in the over-under, not in the spread, nothing. There's zero reason to pick the Steelers in anything. This is all the Buffalo Bills. That's DJ and I's picks as well. And yeah, there's just no reason to pick the Steelers.
It's hard for me to pick them, like you're saying. Just too many factors at play. Jim, are you going for the clean sweep, or are you going to be that one lone wolf this week? We haven't had a lone wolf yet. Well, we have one lone wolf so far with Hector. So is it the second lone wolf?
Here we go. Buffalo Bills.
Okay.
I'm glad you weren't. You didn't go 7 Shades of Brady on us again.
Simple and to the point. That was perfect. You just did it right. Laying in the Bills right at the end like that. Good job. Yeah, a clean sweep for Buffalo, folks. Let's hope we're not proven wrong. All of it. We all go down together, as the saying goes. For that one. One that might also be a clean sweep. Again, we'll see what Jim says here, and I'm hinting to this. Next rapid fire is San Francisco visiting Detroit. Detroit's just a rebuild. I ain't gonna go farther in. People have beaten the jokes on how Detroit's looking and how Jared Goff is basically in a desolate wasteland that is eastern Michigan right now. Meanwhile, San Francisco needs to be healthy. Garoppolo's starting, but everyone's asking, when's Trey Lance getting in? Hector and I both have the 49ers taking one in Motor City. It looks like Kelsey and DJ also are thinking the exact same thing, and myself. I think I have the similar points as you, but I'd like you to explain why you think this, might just be a 49ers victory today.
I mean, do I need to explain any reason?
That's what I'm saying.
It is literally just the Niners are that much better. At this point in time, you can just put George Kittle as a running back and a quarterback and a wide receiver, and you'll still beat the Lions by 14. And then you add in, you actually have a real quarterback and some real running backs and some real receivers, and you still have George Kittle. Like, you're going to win by about 20. This is Hector's lock of the week for a reason. And I'm sticking with Hector on the lock of the week. DJ's also sticking with Hector. It's the Niners. Yeah, it's too easy.
I would, if I had a lock, this is as tight a lock as you're going to get for week 1 right now. Jim, what are you thinking? We going for the sweep 2 times in a row?
Jared Goff has a winning record against the San Francisco 49ers as a quarterback of the LA Rams. Jared Goff has one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL in TJ Hawkinson. They're going to move the ball up and down the field on the Detroit Lions or on the San Francisco 49ers. But I'm not that dumb enough to pick the Detroit Lions. San Francisco wins this game, but it's going to be closer than what experts predict. In my little Lee Corso in there.
I mean, who's stopping the San Francisco offense is my question. what Lions players are they going to throw an actual Lion out there to play defense? Because that's
Yeah.
not the best defense they could do.
Dan Campbell would be extreme enough to do so. I'm just gonna be honest. Like
Okay, fair.
the
fair.
man
You are
is
not
a
wrong.
the man's a maniac. Also, I should mention we have a buddy of ours, the ref, aka Stefan Raychek, that is watching diehard Detroit fan right now. So hi, he's been commenting on that. Here's his quote. I'll just say, Detroit will win only because they know how to disappoint. I want them to lose, hence they will secure the W. We'll find out. We got a little bit of time before we see how that's going to go down. Continuing the rapid fire after 2 straight sweeps, we now have the Minnesota Vikings visiting the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals, of course, all the talk's been about Joe Burrow's health, Jamar Chase dropping passes, and Penei Sewell could have been there. Who knows? Meanwhile, Minnesota, okay, Kirk Cousins and company, second fiddle in the NFC North possibly again. Who knows? Hector and I both are taking the Minnesota Vikings. I'm just going to say what I think about this. Vikings are just a similar team, very loaded on the offensive side. Defensively, they were youthful, but they got better throughout last year. I think you're going to see that trend continue. And Cincinnati still is a rebuild process. They're getting pieces, but no, this will not be their time. I cannot take this in the spirit here. However, that doesn't mean that this is a sweep this week. Kelsey, what do you guys say, buddy?
Look, I'm gonna just go ahead and get DJ's pick. DJ is picking the Minnesota Vikings as well. Now, for my pick, let me just state this: the Minnesota Vikings have no starting tight end. They also have released all of their defensive linemen that had played any meaningful time in the last 2 years. Everson Griffin being number 1 on that list. Why you release him and don't re-sign him, I don't know. Your linebackers are aging, old, farts. They could be better. Your corners are aging, old farts, and then Cameron Dantzler. And your safeties are aging, old farts. And that's the Minnesota Vikings. Well, on the other side, the Bengals have a top 5 safety in the game, and he's underrated in Jesse Bates. Hopefully they re-sign him. We'll see. Jamar Chase's woes of catching a football are not a long-term woe. Joe Burrow, we're going to see him actually stand in the pocket and drop some dimes. Their second-round draft pick at guard is a fantastic guard. He's actually showing up, and he is looking like he's going to help out this offensive line. Now, the question is, does he have enough time? Honestly, it doesn't matter. You just have to exist in the amount of time it's going to take you to hand the ball off to Joe Mixon and throw a quick dump-off screen to Jamar Chase, and then occasionally throw it up to T. Higgins to let T. Higgins do what he does, which is, by the way, best rookie wide receiver last year, next to Justin Jefferson. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, Justin Jefferson's on the other side, but I'm not as worried about the Vikings offense because the Bengals defense actually does look good this year, and I don't think there's any reason that the Bengals shouldn't have at least a little bit of hope of getting 6 wins this season, and they're going to get number 1 today against the Vikings.
I like the explanations. That I like giving the explanations aside. You did good. You did good. You did good.
Did I convert you yet?
Have
I converted you to the Joe Burrow?
You have not converted. Okay, well, okay. This is a conversation outside the pick of season thing. The pick for today still is staying with Minnesota, converting me to a Joe Burrow and Cincy fan. I'm a Bears fan, so no. Anyway,
not a far.
My question is, did you convert Jim's pick into something else? Because again, I hit that I'm kind of we're sitting on the seat with Jim's pick each time he gives one. So let's hear what he has to say.
One of them, honestly, I'm going to say this: the greatest running back of all time from Florida State University, Dalvin Cook, plays for Minnesota. I love him. He's on a lot of my draft fantasy teams. I just don't trust that quarterback in Minnesota. Joe Burrow's coming off of an injury. They're in Cincinnati. Minnesota likes to kick things in gear when the playoffs are out of reach. Then they actually look good in December towards the end of the year. Cincinnati has a lot of hope. It's in Cincinnati. I don't like the Bengals. Never have. They've always been the Bagels to me. Yes, you heard me. Bagels. But they find a way to win this game to start the NFL. Yeah, I do love bagels. But I don't like the Cincinnati Bengals. Give me the Bengals in a close one here. I love you, Dalvin, but not today.
Oh my.
Isn't Warren Dunn the best ever Florida State running back, or am I just fooling myself on that one?
Well, he is, but Dalvin's more recent.
I'm just making sure we get that right at least. Talk blasphemy about your own school. Jesus.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I saw some Warwick Dunn slander this week that I did not appreciate. So Yeah, or it was more just like picking him over a different running back that I don't remember that I thought was underrating him. Yeah, we'll talk later.
Fort Gunsell's most lighted running back in the world. Anyways, moving on.
Anyways, we are on to Hector's game of the week. The Jets are going to be facing off against the Panthers. As we're hinting at, this is a Sam Darnold revenge game. Could be a revenge game. Again, depends on the outcome here. But according to most of you, this is a revenge game for him, at least in pick'ems, because Hector and I both are picking the Panthers. DJ and Kelsey are also thinking alike once more again with the Panthers. Their rosters, I know in New York's a rebuild, but Kelsey, is it really that easy to pick here?
Yeah, look, the Jets had a fantastic draft. There's no taking that away from them. The Jets just need 3 drafts worth of fantastic drafts to replace all the holes that they have.
There you go.
Unfortunately, you just had, going across the Jets roster, you have about 17 holes before this year's draft. You filled 5 of them. So now you still have 12 holes to fill to have a quality team. And that's just to have a quality team. Look, Robert Saleh he's in this for the long haul. Year 2 is going to be his big turning point. Next year will be the big one. This year, at this point in time, it's just keeping everybody healthy, going through the rookie woes, getting those out of the way. That way your team is ready and seasoned going into year 2. Elijah Vera Tucker is fantastic. Zach Wilson is fantastic. But Eli Moore is fantastic. But, there's all these things that they're just rookies. You don't have enough weapons. The Sam Darnold's not going to be seeing very many ghosts, except for the ghost of him laughing at the Jets for years to come.
You hope he doesn't see ghosts today, because this is kind of the showcase to prove that he's worth the trade. The Jets, they still need some pieces. Jim, you'd be the one wrapping up a potential sweep here. Does Zach Wilson show up and will this team to victory?
No, I don't think so, because what Kelsey said, still a lot more holes to fix. Carolina, they have the best running back in the league, and I think they're just going to give him the rock the whole entire game. And that's what Sam Darnold didn't have in Jets. So he does it now in Carolina. Carolina wins this game, but I'm not really too excited about this one because it's the Jets in Carolina, but it's in Carolina. It's going to be hot in Carolina, and I think they'll outlast Jets. Both these teams are not going to be really good this year, but you got to play them. So,
yeah, that's fair enough. Moving on to our next contest. This one I actually was surprised didn't get brought up in our Game of the Week section, but also, I can't argue with the ones we picked up. The Titans are hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals have had plenty of hype in the offseason. Titans, more of a glass cannon, I think, than ever when you brought on Julio Jones in company. I and Hector am going with the Titans. Again, the embodiment of a glass cannon in the NFL in terms of outscoring and just hoping to God you outrun your opposition. We have a split decision with the high-low crew on this one.
You keep making it out to be like DJ and I are either copying each other or we're just, I don't know anymore. At this
because
point
DJ
time,
would say sometimes, I got to play the DJ card.
Look, okay, fair enough. No, DJ's going with the Titans. He does think they're pretty good. Me, on the other hand, I think the Cardinals are going to be a force to be reckoned with in the West this season, and you're going to see a perfect example of it this week against the Titans. I think you look at it; their defense got better. You added J.J. Watt, and then here you are. Well, Kyler Murray is about to step up and be that dude, and he still has Nuke Hopkins down there just to throw it up to occasionally. And I think you'll see a little bit more of that this year. He'll just be like, you know what? Nuke's down there somewhere. Let me throw it up there. And watch DeAndre go up there, because DeAndre has absolute best hands in the game today, which is ironic considering the Cardinals had Larry Fitzgerald for so long, who was one of the best receivers ever to play the game as far as hands go. And now you replace him with DeAndre Hopkins, and who now has the best hands in the game. So
right.
Look, give me the Cardinals in this one. Their defense is great. Their offense is getting better. That's my choice.
Totally understandable. And hopefully they hopefully get DeAndre Hopkins a chance at a Super Bowl at some point, and get him a little more success than Larry had or in terms of team success when Larry was there, because Larry, excellent individual effort. It just, you feel bad for how the Cardinals have been as a franchise for most of his tenure. Anyway, for Jim, What are you looking at? Again, Cardinals are visiting the Music City today.
2 playoff teams battling each other in Nashville today. But we talked about earlier in the show about how the divisional matchups between Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cleveland are inevitable to happen. That 4th team that's not getting enough love is this Tennessee Titan team. They just got better this offseason, and they got probably the tank of all tanks out there in the backfield. They got Julio Jones. They got another weapon on the outside
but you lost your head coach and your tight end and your defense, your entire defense.
Head coach. You
Head
mean
coach Mark Vrabel?
Offensive coordinator. My bad. Offensive
Man,
coordinator.
what happened?
I was like, what? Did that just happen today? Did Mark Vrabel?
Sorry, he became a head coach, which is where he should be.
Yeah.
Offensive
But the Titans are not getting enough talk about, my honest opinion, this offseason. I think they run through Derrick Henry, and Arizona's going to be electrifying this year. They're going to have some great matchups today. It's just this is a very tough game opening day to start with that defense and Tennessee. And it's in Nashville. That's a house of horrors for a lot of teams. And I think Tennessee wins this game because they're in Nashville now. If it was in Arizona, it would be Arizona. But I think Tennessee has the edge here.
Kelsey, you are the lone wolf for this one. Nice.
That's right. When I win this is going to be my difference maker for the week. Thank you very much.
Someone's got to hear
it, right? And we'll hear about it too.
We're getting Kelsey's Island started off week 1 already.
There we go. It returns. The Kelsey's Island is back.
This board will be a picture of the Cardinals if they win.
Whatever, man. And I'll clip that. I'll clip that later if I messed it up because it's just whatever. Anyway, moving on to the rapid fire because man, we're really extending this 3rd quarter, but we will get that 4th quarter. Anyway, moving to rapid fire here. Kansas City and Cleveland. Cleveland is visiting Kansas City as the heads up. And that was our game of the week that I had chose. Again, I feel like I picked the one sticking out, but that's just me. Me and Hector both have the Chiefs. As much as I really love the Cleveland Browns being well-rounded, you have to outsprint the Chiefs. And I don't know. I don't feel it. And I'm just not feeling it. And I'm worried about the pressure maybe for the Browns here. And you're also in Kansas City, loudest stadium in the NFL. Adds a little extra X factor into it too. Kelsey and DJ's picks are up here. And I know this one is also split.
DJ is picking the Chiefs. I am going the Browns. And the biggest reason why, it may be in Kansas City, but they no longer have the Arrowhead in Kansas City. And they're going to be mourning the loss of their Arrowhead. So no worries whatsoever about the noise because they're going to be crying too much as we watch the Browns pull this one off.
Okay. All right. And then Jim, what you taking?
This is in Kansas City. Kansas City doesn't lose a lot of games in Kansas City, and it won't change on opening day. Give me Kansas City.
Back-to-back lone wolves for Kelsey.
Boy, I'm going to have a Browns picture and a Cardinals picture on this board next week.
The island is growing bigger. Soon it shall be a nation.
About to be a continent the way we're going.
Ooh, okay. Well, it's not going to be Kelsey's Island for this next one. And actually, I'm surprised yet that someone hasn't picked, and who knows, maybe Jim does again. It's suspenseful. But the Miami Dolphins are visiting the New England Patriots. And any other year that was 2 years ago and earlier, this would be a unique case. But everyone on here and waiting on Jim's pick has picked the Dolphins so far. For those who I know, Tua, of course, his 2nd year as a Dolphins QB. There were rumors about Deshaun Watson going to be traded to Miami, so there's pressure on Tua. Meanwhile, Mac Jones secured his job after being put down in the roster and basically outperforming Cam Newton this offseason and showing that he's worth the start as well. Again, Hector and I have Miami, and so do DJ and Kelsey. So Kelsey, what plays into this that makes Miami so appealing?
Brian Flores, winningest coach that fell from the Belichick tree against Belichick to date. The only one with a winning record, by the way.
Right, that's true.
Bill Belichick. So, and Bill Belichick always loses one game to the Dolphins that you're just like, what? How do you lose that? This might be the game. But I just look at this Dolphins team. What Brian Flores is doing is absolutely fantastic. And this team is getting better, and all they need Tua to do is just play his game. Don't get into his head too much. Just be a game manager that you are, and he will be fantastic at it.
And they have a well-built roster around him, too, to where he doesn't have to do as much as well. Give him some time to develop. Jim, you are the resident Patriots fan in this group. So Are you going with the homer pick, my friend?
You know what? As much as I want to pick the Patriots, as much as I want to, join everyone on my own island, basically like what Kelsey has on there. Miami has a lot of weapons. Tua has been very impressive this preseason. Mac Jones has been impressive this season. But no one's talking about this is the battle between Alabama quarterbacks. Tua versus Jones.
True.
And it's in New England, right?
Yes.
Okay. New England has a winning record at home openers against Miami Dolphins in histories. So as much as I want to pick the Patriots, much as I want to pick the Dolphins, this is very tight between me. I would like to have a draw if there's a possibility we can have a tie here, and then I'll win that tie. But no, put me on my own damn island. Put me on it. Let's go, Pats. Let's go. Let's get that one.
You spun that so.
I couldn't pick the Dolphins. I just can't.
It was the spin. Jim's got the lone wolf for this one.
Jim's new name is Charlotte with all these webs he's spinning. This is absurd.
I might end up like that Cam Newton gift from last year. After that,
oh my God. Oh, the third lone wolf in 4 picks. Moving down the line, we have the Broncos visiting the New York Giants. Giants have plenty of pressure, I think, this year to perform, especially Daniel Jones. Year 3 for him. More weapons surrounding him as well. With some injury woes, because Kenny Galladay and Saquon Barkley have been battling minor injuries through the preseason. Sounds like they are both good to go today from what we can tell, although Barkley, possible limited role as well. In terms of full clear, so we're not so he's going full go.
Yep.
Nice.
Supposedly.
That is a new update for me. That is good for my fantasy teams. Yes. Anyway, I get to hopefully get some points. Although it's Denver, so it's a tough out to be for running offenses, of course. Hector and I feel like Hector and I picked a lot of the same picks, which actually we did. If you look at that, we really didn't differentiate. We both are going with the Broncos here. Teddy Bridgewater starting for this one. Meanwhile, you've got, and I'm doing it again, Kelsey and DJ splitting the difference. What's the take?
So the Broncos obviously don't even know who their quarterback's long term is going to be. Obviously, it's Teddy for now, but is it going to be Teddy for the long term? Their running back staff is Melvin Gordon and a dude that's a rookie that everybody's so high on, but he won't get any burn.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Giants, on the other hand, have a fully healthy Saquon, a fully healthy Kenny Galladay. Their defense is stepping up and looking good. And your offensive line, they're one of the best offensive lines in the league last year that nobody's talking about. A team that was the Philadelphia Eagles tanking away from the playoffs. Give me the Giants in this one. Giants easily beat the Broncos. It's not even a question.
Nice. It's not even a question. I like this. Jim, let's hear your pick. Does Kelsey continue to build the island nation that he is creating?
Start spreading the news. New York.
All right. Well,
I can't say anything because, like what Kelsey said, Broncos have questions on quarterback issues. They have a good defense. Problem is the Giants are really healthy now with Saquon coming back and getting a full workload. It's in New York, and Giants may not win a lot of games this year. They might win 5 or 6, but this would be one. Broncos really didn't do anything this offseason that wowed you. They got Bridgewater. Yeah, okay. Did he wow you in Carolina? No. So just give me Daniel Jones. Give me a healthy Kenny Galladay. Help me Saquon Barkley. Give me Giants. I just screwed up that Barkley. There we go. But yeah, give me the Giants.
Plus, I only get a healthy Saquon for 3 weeks. So like I'm gonna take him now. That's the logic behind this.
Sure. And if he's full go, that changes things rather than limiting him and having to worry about switching in and out. Totally understand. And for me, like I said, I got him on like 3 fantasy teams. I could really use him to be full go. So that'd be nice. Moving into the final 3 contests of this, well, actually 2 for the Sunday and then 1 for the Monday. Got to be honest here. The Green Bay Packers are visiting the New Orleans Saints. Saints definitely a much different team now. It's going to be Jameis, I eat crab legs for W's Winston, going to be starting out there in New Orleans as a quarterback rather than Drew Brees. Weird to think think about that he's gotten this far, but here we are. Meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, they met up. They said, we'll do this for one more year, make this kind of the last dance of the NFL in some way, shape, or form, and possibly move on. So Green Bay looking like a potential Super Bowl contender. They're visiting New Orleans with a lot of questions. Hector and I, because we got to do this, it seems now, Jesus Christ, we must have really been thinking the same way. We're going with Green Bay, as much as that sickens me to say. And I just, roster's built well. Offense has been excellent. Most questions to me still are on defense for the Packers whatsoever. And it looks like DJ and Kelsey are also thinking alike as well for this choice.
Yeah, no, we're both going Packers on this one. And it's a running joke that we have that now Jameis can see the 3 picks he's going to throw to Jair Alexander every time.
LASIK eye surgery.
But yeah, look, I do think this game is going to be a lot closer than people are expecting. The Saints, through all we joke about them, quarterback issues, the rest of their team stayed pretty standard. They actually kind of got better. And then you got Jameis in there. And let's not forget, Jameis was a guy that was lighting it up offensively, just had too many picks.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can see the defense, it might solve a lot of his issue. My biggest issue right here, though, in this matchup with the Packers is Jair Alexander is an absolutely fantastic corner, and I would never doubt that man to at least still one away from Jameis, who's going to be coming in with a little bit of nerves, I feel like, in this one. So,
sure.
But I do think the Packers are going to win this one, but I do think it's going to be closer than expected.
Well, Jim, you are here to possibly make this the clean sweep, or are you on an island and enjoying some seafood with the Jameis Winston and company?
For the Saints, I'm going to just say this about the Saints. If they can get an average to above average Jameis Winston, they're going to be a pain in the ass or thorn in someone's ass all season because they have the team where they're going to be in a lot of these games. But honestly, who wants to eat a W? That'd be Green Bay. Angry Aaron Rodgers is not a good guy to play. Aaron Rodgers is going to win this game, but I like Kelsey's prediction. How it's going to be closer than experts predict, but yeah.
All right. We're going for the clean sweep. Hopefully, we are going to all be eating W's, but not for the Saints, of course. We're all hoping that this is a W in our direction.
W's just sound good. Like, I don't know, something about it just makes it feel like it'd be crisp, clean tasting, like almost like, perfect lettuce. When you have that perfect bite of lettuce, just so crisp and clean tasting. Like, it's got to be what it tastes like.
See, I think this is how he did it. Gonna eat a W today. There you go. Hopefully, we're all enjoying that little meal later on. Anyway, moving forward, the LA Rams will be hosting the Bears. I'm just gonna be straight up, like, I'm a Bears fan, folks. I have no confidence in this game, and quite frankly, I'm probably the most pessimistic Bears fan you'll ever meet. Why am I even a fan? Who the hell knows? But anyway, it's Andy Dalton.
Team to root for yet.
you push get pushed to the edge every year.
I'm still a Cowboys fan. Don't worry, we get it.
I'm getting pushed to the edge every year, Kelsey. It just slowly creeping that way.
We've got a whole show, and I haven't mentioned them yet.
I'm not in it. Yep. You know what? Keep moving forward. Anyway, so Andy Dalton is starting. Everyone wants Justin Fields, but Matt Nagy says, no, it's Andy Dalton's team start because we paid him $10 million for a year. That's what's going to be happening so far. The Rams, hey, they got Matthew Stafford. They, first round picks are really our first round picks for the Rams. They look like they are one of the top teams in at least the NFC West, and many have predicted possible NFC conference game conference game participants. I am bumbling my words right here. Hector and I have the Rams. DJ and Kelsey also have the Rams. I'm just going to explain this one, folks. The Rams are much more well-built. This was a team I thought that, for most kicks with Sean McVay, a quarterback change and keep a good chunk of your roster that was working, and also build up that running back room, especially now that Cam Akers is down. But they got Sony Michel in a trade, for crying out loud. So let's be honest. They look good. They're a top team in the NFC West. The Bears, I think, are, to me, a mess. It's just that Justin Fields was kind of a distraction from what is kind of a pseudo mess. Defensively, they still have most of the pieces, but they're also terrible at tackling. Offensively, it's Matt Nagy calling the plays, which doesn't give me confidence. The Rams have it all. Sean McVay, week 1, and just being the game prepper he is, he's going to make this look silly, I think, in Los Angeles for Chicago. It's going to be ugly, I think, on Sunday night. Another national embarrassment, I think, for the Bears, in my opinion. Jim, are you going to make this a sweep?
Yes, Rams.
That was pretty easy. I feel bad. Maybe there's a surprise, but I just
want to add in this, though. Andy Dalton, not that terrible of a quarterback. Unfortunately for him, not the right quarterback for that system. And also Matt Stafford. Can we just talk about the poetic justice of him going to the Rams and then they play the NFC North this year and how fantastic this is?
And hopefully gets to rip apart the North, That's what I'm saying. I agree with you with Dalton. Not a bad QB. I had no problems with them signing him at the time. Although credit, that was when they were going to trade for Russell Wilson, supposedly, so that also doesn't help the situation. However, A, didn't think that was realistic at the time. B, Bears line isn't exactly still built up to snuff. I mean, that preseason starting line was ugly. And they did get Jason Peters, but I mean, is a aging Jason Peters enough to save it? Probably not. I think it's going to be ugly. I think you're going to see Aaron Donald eat Dalton's lunch consistently.
Again.
I just hope it's somewhat close and that we're not national embarrassments on TV. Final game that is nationally televised for this, besides, of course, like the Fox and CBS games, it is the Baltimore Ravens, the injury-stricken roster that we talked about at the beginning of the show, taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, a team that who the hell knows what's up with them anymore with John Gruden. Gruden and Mayock, they're just happy to be there, I think, sometimes, I think. This one we split on with me and Hector. Again, rare for today, but it's just a split. I mean, Jesus Christ.
You have to change some answers so you don't think you're cheating.
I know. I think actually looking back, that is only we only split votes or choices twice. This is the second one of them. I am going with Baltimore on this. As much as there's injuries on that roster, defensively, they're besides Marcus Peters, I think they're still confident enough. And the team's designed to run. Whoever's got the ball to hand off, they're going to find a hole, and Lamar Jackson is going to find his way to get some points. As for the Raiders, that's the other component. What have they done lately that makes me say, damn, that they're building something. Hector's got the Raiders, though, but I can see the points. It's Derek Carr. Defensively, they've gotten some pieces that have been, somewhat going in the right direction. Who knows? That's just me. Because I also say this because right now Hector's looking like the candidate for the lone wolf. DJ and Kelsey also went with the Ravens, even though this is a injury-stricken roster.
Yeah, I mean, simple answer is John Gruden doesn't know how to use his personnel correctly.
Yes.
So I don't trust John Gruden to use his personnel correctly. And that's just, at the end of the day, that is where it is. Like, you have one of the best slot receivers as far as catching the ball in Hunter Renfrow. You have one of the fastest receivers in Henry Ruggs, and you don't put them on the field at the same time. And then you have Josh Jacobs, and you choose not to use him. You're going to, for some reason, run Kenyon Drake out there every single down, which I think Kenyon Drake would be fine if you put him in as a receiver. But you're not going to – John Gruden has this luxury of, like, I want all these offensive players, but then he doesn't know how to use them. Right. And this is where the issue is going to come in.
Yeah.
Like if he put Fabian Moreau in over Darren Waller again, I'm going to lose my mind.
Fantasy owners lose my mind. I will lose my mind if I
don't have Darren Waller at all, but I hate watching it. Like, it's so frustrating to watch.
Yeah. Ugh. So, Jim, it's up to you. Does Hector get left on his only island for the week?
Yeah, he is.
Okay.
I like the Ravens here. Even like what Kelsey said. Who are the Raiders? Who are they? We know who the Ravens are. Who are the Raiders? And that's what this game is all about. Yeah, all the injuries that Baltimore has, they're still a better team. They still have the better quarterback, and they have an offense that Vegas doesn't really stop. Vegas can shut down Kansas City type of offense, but last year they were terrible against the run. And I think Baltimore is just going to go up down the field on them with the running game with Lamar Jackson at the helm. So give me the Ravens.
Nice. And that will round out our pick'em. For like any NFL contest that is high scoring, of course the quarter is going to be much longer in time frame. So we have hit the fourth quarter. And like any good player that has ever been in a fourth quarter of any game, you raise up the big four. Got to make sure that everyone knows that it is game time. It is the most crucial down, really. It's even funnier because it's even more hilarious because on the screen, because you're talking your hotspot, it of course freeze framed to you just going quick this and then quick out. Perfect timing for Kelsey. Jesus, that was just wonderful. With this part of the show, though, we end with a little bit of tidbits for maybe some betting options, as we'll give Kelsey and Jim the floor here in the final 10-ish minutes of the show we got to give you some of the options in games that you might be wanting to look out for if maybe you can capitalize on some of the over-unders and maybe even some prop bets for what they've got. Let's see what you got, guys.
Yeah, so I talked about it a little bit earlier. The Steelers game versus the Bills. Do not take them in anything other than the over-under, and that is purely take the over because of the Bills in this one. They are going to light it up all night long, and all the Steelers will have to do is score 14, and if the Bills score 28 or more, they are well over than the over-under. So give me the over-under on this Bills-Steelers game because of the Bills in this one for sure.
Ooh, okay. Not bad.
For me, when you take it to DC, where the Washington football team and their 26 trademarks are taking on the Los Angeles Chargers, the football team is a 1.5 point favorite. Do not take DC if you want easy money. Take freaking Chargers straight up. That's my almost lock of the week for the betting wise. Don't know why Washington's favored by 1.5, but still lock of the week, Chargers.
Not a bad choice. I think that's good. I honestly, I'm for me, for my betting knowledge and for what I look for, ones that maybe you can capitalize on the over a bit more, or like, because I'm honestly looking yesterday, I had just a little anecdote, a little coworker of mine on yesterday's Ohio State Oregon game picked the 14 over, got a 28 overall or 21 overall over by the end of it with the final score. So I kind of look for stuff like that, so maybe look for games, in my opinion, you want something that, maybe you can get the over and you think you're confident on. To me, and I know that this still is not the favorite in this group, I think that the Eagles could be your pick for looking at the over here and could be taking that as an option if you wanted to pick something that maybe, underdog mentality could help win out. In my sakes, I guess we're looking at something that was more split decision. I don't think the Bengals are a bad option either, just offensively. Perhaps that's a good choice, take the over there, and again, like Kelsey pointed out, Minnesota does have flaws that Cincinnati can exploit that can lead you to get that score and that potential bet if you want landing in your favor. So, I think those are options. I would stay away from games like KC and Cleveland that are a little more sporadic. If you, if you want to take, a little more insanity into the mix, go right ahead. But, obviously we want to, in terms of my thoughts on something that you might want to get that's maybe you can score a little bit easier cash or higher probability, in my opinion, of getting those sakes, stick with those two, in my opinion. I would take those.
Yeah. I'd also say look out for the over-under and the under specifically for the Dolphins-Patriots game. For Brian Flores, I talked about it, and Bill Belichick in the under seems to be a very fitting pursuit, if you will, with Tua as a quarterback and Mac Jones. I wouldn't be surprised if this one finishes well below their projected over-under.
Not bad. Jim, anything else you have in mind?
Nope, I'm good on my end.
All right, folks. Well, it's safe to say that's our first show of the year. Folks, we got it. Our first 4th and 4. There might have been bumps. There might have been some steps. I know I'm going to be correcting them, but I'm glad if you tuned in because we are going to build this thing into something special and into a show that you'll want to tune into every Sunday at 10 a.m. to tune in with us and to have some fun and talk some NFL conversation that you'll get to enjoy with guys that are like yourself that we just love the game of football and, yeah, sure, we don't have any fancy suits on. Yeah, I got a collared shirt, whatever. But we know the game. We don't have to. It doesn't have to be as fancy as set. We can have our own beautiful stuff. And look at this. It's just a cloth, but I still can talk the game just as nice. Kelsey's got the nice whiteboard. Let's zoom in again. For those who might have missed as we finish up, let's see what it says right underneath that little whiteboard.
I'll even pull it off the wall for you guys.
You're in solo right now. What you got? Because I know I can read it, but just in case someone missed it.
It got taken away.
Return Dan Bale immediately.
Bailey
originally.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, my pen fell and my finger just wiped it away. But yeah, that's what we're looking at here. Missing Cowboys kickers. Please return Dan Bailey immediately.
My partner in crime on my NFL version of the Gridiron Gallery show, he called Greg Zuerlein Greg the Dead Leg Zuerlein this week.
That man should never been known as a leg ever. Like, there's got to be reasons outside of NFL performance that man is known as a leg. Period. That's my intuition right there.
Yeah. Well, it's a dead leg, at least in terms of how things went down in Tampa Bay, I'm afraid. Before we go, guys, let's plug some socials. I will go last. Jim, you go on first since you're heading up the whole Unhinged operation, so you got a lot more socials to pass around.
Yeah, you can follow the Unhinged website or Twitter page at Radio Unhinged. We are, of course, associated with Belly Up Sports. You can follow them at Belly Up Sports. Of course, we have a 24-hour radio of 34 podcasts, constant streaming at unhingedsn.airtime.pro. And also, you can follow my podcast, The J Show, at The J Show. Airs Fridays on Unhinged Radio at 4 p.m. on unhingedsn.com.
Nice. Kelsey, where are you and DJ at? Give us the socials, man, the details. What we got?
I mean, at this point, you guys know how to find us because we're probably the most hilarious podcast to follow. If you don't already follow us. So we are at high_low_sports on Twitter, at high-low sports, all one word, on Instagram. Find us on YouTube, high-low sports. But, we did just, as you mentioned, join up with Belly Up Sports. So we got to shout them out as well because, obviously, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of coagulation between the two of us. We already dealt with them a lot anyways. We already had a lot of conversations back and forth. So being a part of the Belly Up Network as well has been a lot of fun. And also, if you guys are listening on Colorcast, obviously we still got to work out some kinks on the Colorcast side of things for us and make this work, especially not when I'm on a hot spot. Going forward, we'll be able to get the hot seat rolling on Colorcast. So follow us on Colorcast as well. It's at High-Low Sports on Colorcast. And we love the guys over there, Evan and Tristan over there at Colorcast, obviously big supporters. Ebony helping out with the talk show. So this has been a lot of fun so far, but this will keep going every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And we'll get the whole crew. So to find us there, just look up 4th and 4 with the High-Low Sports. It's going to be a tile right there on your main page, and that's how you follow us there. And like I said, next week we'll get the hot seat going and get some other voices here to ask us some questions.
Yeah, I mean, and again, as I mentioned, this was really first week. Definitely some kinks that we will work out for next as well. I've already been putting notes in my head as we're talking. So for those that are there, expect even a better show than what we did here. I can guarantee it. And for Colorcast, we have plenty of opportunity coming up with that. Even some events that I won't mention here, but this
we
fun
can't
stuff.
Give away the whole kit and caboodle yet.
It's some fun stuff that might be on the horizon. I didn't do it. I just am saying there might be some fun things coming our way.
Back anything. It's gonna give it all away.
Obviously, my mouth is everything comes out of here. So, oh my God. For me, you can find me at Grid Gallery Pod. That's for Gridiron Gallery. That is the football show that's weekly released on Fridays, 11 a.m. Eastern on Unhinged Sports Network for the unhingedsn.com. And it's on your favorite podcast platforms, but it is at Grid Gallery Pod for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Again, at Grid Gallery Pod. And be sure to follow us on 4th and 4. Like I said, our Twitter, which is 4th and 4. Fourth, the first one being spelled Fourth and 4. Look it up. We have the goalpost logo up there, red, white, and blue. You can't miss it if you look it up. And We'll be posting a lot more as the season goes on. For Kelsey Coyne, for DJ Stewart not being here, for Hector Flores giving us an awesome halftime show, and for Jim Mernier joining us as well. I'm Zach Conlon saying so long. Thanks for tuning in to the first show. We got plenty more weeks coming up. We got 17 more weeks of stuff that you're going to be seeing from us, and it's going to be every Sunday. And playoffs. Thank you. I'm a dumb host. At least for the regular season, every Sunday, 10 a.m. Eastern time, right here on YouTube, right here on the Unhinged Radio YouTube channel. You'll catch us there. Until next week, folks, enjoy week one's action. We'll be discussing plenty during the week, going into week two. Catch you later.